Hi guys, today we'll be seeing a scenario on what if NATO becomes a country. So we have to do some stuff like make them a bit aggressive and stuff. And you know. So the first thing that's gonna happen to this union is Turkey leaving. Yeah, they leave. Same with Hungary, they also leave the union. So now these two parts are detached. So they'll try to get Bosnia and Kosovo in the union, but Serbia isn't gonna allow them. So yeah, new war. But so NATO declares war on Serbia. And no one will come to the aid of Serbia. Serbia will try to influence Montenegro to leave, but there's a lot of protests in Montenegro, so not a lot of places will leave. And now the war starts. So NATO, the Croatian and Slovenian troops, and Italian troops kicked them out of the occupied area. Troops from Balkans, Italy, and France will crush Serbia. And now let's see the peace treaty. Okay, so now all their territory is that is attached except the ones that are literally impossible to attach. So they're gonna send the ultimatum to Austria. They join in. They sent one to San Marino. They sent one to Monaco. And one to Liechtenstein. And one to Ireland. And they all accept. Because they really have no chance of fighting. None of these countries even together have a chance to fight this. And now Ukraine wants to join. Russia, they won't allow it, and they'll go head on to the new country. Not really a good idea, but it's an idea. While Ukraine will be, Moldova will door, and Belarus. So immediately starting off, yeah, really they'll try to cut them off from Kaliningrad, which does go successful. They'll make some losses around this area. Well, they're gonna try to cut them off from here, but it doesn't really matter that much. They're still gonna try to defend this area because they have a chance of getting Finland if they cut them off. So more, because they sent all their troops against NATO. So some countries that are not really a fan of this thing will join the war on Russia's side, such as Iran. They're not a fan of this thing. Algeria, Turkey, which used to be part of it, but they're not a fan of the thing. China and all of Central Asia and Mongolia and North Korea. So Cyprus wants to join the war. Interesting. They will get Morocco in their side to fight against Algeria, and they do some success with Spanish help. But Algeria is kind of distracting them, so the Baltic area will be captured. And Ukraine is more and more going to get cooked till they enter into and push through to the islands into Cyprus happens. So they'll try to meet. The only disadvantage they have is stability. Not very stable. Even after here. They will be starting to invade the Nordics. Which is not that, it is not good. They will do one successful campaign against Russia here, which is major for them. They want Israel to join the war, which they'll do. Not too many countries want to join because they're not a fan, but Taiwan will. Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan will join the war. And the Philippines. Vietnam won't join the war because they're not a fan of the thing, but they're also not a fan of China. And no one really in South Asia really wants to join. They do have Azerbaijan in their side because they're closest allies in the war. And the troops does come in but fail to capture Poland. Well, the Algerian front goes massively successful, even surrendering them. And now Spanish troops are gonna go. Morocco does not want to send troops to Russia. And more troops will come, especially here they're starting to lose. Even land losses. And that was through Belarus, but Spanish troops are not, because all the major contributors are all really sending troops already. Georgia does have a plan to join the war, and it's not gonna go successful. All they do was just a little dent for them, their health. They are going to beat this front, later progressing to and kicking them out of Finland and Norway, and a big push through into eastern Russia, but they'll capture this area, but this area they'll 100% defend. Since North Korean troops are in foreign land, Pyongyang is gonna get captured. China will send their troops back, which will limit South Korea will not die. Taiwan, it's like this in the Navy. They do have all of Philippines in their naval control. Same with China. No, not China, Taiwan. That will be controversial, but I mean Taiwan. That was an accident. Do not cancel me. And they doom. Well, the Chinese will use its navy. But a big portion like here, covering this whole area. In naval front here, defending eastern Sakhalin, to cutting off here, and the islands. So yeah, now they will go to claim the South China Sea. It will make Philippines angry, and they'll also try to claim it. China will have a successful battle, cutting off the Philippines, but they can't land on the Philippines. They'll also cut off Taiwan. China will leave the Philippines for now, and they won't be able to save Taiwan. So they do fund some states. It will make unstable. It will make American states want to leave. A civil war happens in California and Texas. A civil war happens in both of these states. NATO will send some troops, but it will be pretty hard. Hawaii will leave, but they'll just let them leave. Actually, they won't actually let them leave, but they will also form their own. They do form their own. They are now in the civil war. Some countries are just gonna take advantage of this and supply the rebels. For Israel, they're just internally surrounded. They're just surrounded, so yes, and for the long run, if NATO doesn't save them, they'll lose. Well, in the Turkish front, it fails a bit. It fails, but they won't able to manage to cross to Istanbul. Belarus gets saved by Russia. And a big push into the Ukraine happens again. Turkey manages to convince Syria to join the war to get rid of Israel. And a huge amount of Turkish troops are already in the border, capturing this dispute, later crossing into Palestine joins. Israeli troops will start to push through the south. Will they reach the north in time? They do try to push through here. Try to encircle Tel Aviv. Till Tel Aviv gets captured. After Syria joined the war, this took like 10 years to get rid of them. Well, not 10, like it took like 5 years to get rid of them. And small successes in Turkey happens, even the landing happens. It isn't really going that good. New Polish success happens. And yeah, it's not going that good. And Taiwan surrenders. And Taiwan loses their Taiwan's naval surroundment is gone. And so the western parts. So I mean they'll make a landing to head for their capital. And another southern landing. One in the west. They'll make one in the north. One operation here. And yeah. They'll slowly surround the west, even capturing here. And Taiwan officially. They lasted longer than Israel, though. They'll officially make a cut. They know this war is never gonna end, so they just agree on. So these guys agree on a cease. So Japan leaves the war, the Philippines leave the war, and these two agree on a ceasefire. I'll just leave them. Plus they're not really too big fans of the new big country. They're not like huge fans. This area will be left alone. This area will just disappear. This naval area isn't required anymore. And now NATO is So they'll most likely capture the Baltics by now. Even going to Crimea and deeper into Ukraine and the Belarus and the attackment of Belarus. This will happen, and later all no, actually they won't. Morocco will leave the war, and they'll also take Algeria away, because it was only Morocco holding Algeria. And the manpower of them is Russia's running out of reserves, and now they're conscripting. China, there are like 500 active troops are still 500,000 active troops are still alive from China. And the big pushment happens. Into the Ukrainian disappearment. After all countries decides it's best for peace, so now they'll do a peace treaty. They'll try to invade they'll just go invade all of Central America. I know some of these are part of it, but don't really care to fix it. But so let's see. So they immediately take out Cuba, because you know they will immediately go to here and here. Pushes into Baja California will happen. And more pushes. It gets harder when they reach down there, more southern. A Yucatan landing happens, which will obliterate every Central American country. They'll immediately land on Venezuela, taking them over. They'll capture Mexico City, and Mexico's dead. Okay, so this is the peace treaty, full annexation. And now they'll just demand 2 countries to join. It was a bit harder to convince Suriname to join, but they end up dead. Cause who is beating all this? They kinda, but not fully. And they'll send the ultimatum to Tunisia. They'll join. And Hungary gets invaded. Okay, so this is the end of the scenario. So if you guys enjoyed the scenario, please leave a subscribe and a comment. And bye guys.